Today, we're going to be talking about 4 different household income values, looking at how much you can afford and where you should look in Calgary if you fall into that category roughly. There's going to be some great links in the description for you to go searching for properties, and we're going to look at how much do you have to qualify to buy one of the largest and most expensive homes on the market in Calgary right now. So let's jump into the first category of household income for $50,000. So as you can see on the screen, I have our mortgage calculator up that I'm using, that we use with our clients. It helps kind of bring some clarity to the process when you're purchasing. So again, if you want to work with us to find a property or sell your property, we want to use data that is relevant to you. And this is how we do that. So what we're going to start with right here, this $50,000 household income. So whether that's a single person, 2 people, but if you have a gross income of $50,000, this is the section you want to watch. So after your $50,000 come in, you have about $4,167 per month. After taxes, it's about $2,925. And if we do the math, so there's a rule, a mortgage rule, so 39%. So it's your GDS, your gross debt servicing ratios. So if you take 39% of your gross, so the 4,167 plus, you can see it down in the bottom, little bit, tiny little print there. Principal and interest plus your taxes, roughly $150 for heat, and then half of condo fees if they are applicable. This is how we come up with that number. So you can do this math on your own. It's very, very straightforward. But in this scenario, we would have to have all of those things equal less than $1,625 a month. Now, based on 4.8% interest rate, which is roughly what it is right now, and putting down 15%, we're going to keep that the same, 15% for all the different price ranges we're looking at today. Also a 25-year amortization with approximately $2,000 for insurance. We have our property tax mill rate of 0.0066. So that's going to calculate annual property taxes automatically. We are looking at a purchase price of approximately $230,000. So when you go to our website, you're going to be able to do a search. So the links I have down in the description are going to take you directly to Calgary and the price ranges for the different household incomes. But if you want to tweak the search, you can take a look here. You can change your price ranges, property sizes, bedrooms, bath, residential. You can look just for apartments. You can uncheck that. Really at this price point, they are only going to be probably 1-bed, 1-bath condos for the most part. But as you can see, there's about 28 options in the city. A lot of these are going to be older buildings, 1970s, 80s, maybe 90s. They're going to be 700-ish square feet or smaller, 1 bath, 1 bedroom. Is going to be a lot of these places. The one thing you want to be aware of and check for is your condo fees. Because if you are buying at the top of your range already, and you have to look at your qualifications, because if this condo fee ends up being a lot more, let's say $700, well, that little square turned red, which means you're not going to qualify for $230, and you'd actually have to adjust your purchase price down to probably $205. So condo fees, not even. So let's say $200. So your condo fees, if you have a condo fee that went from $400 to $700,000, that's about $300 difference. And the rule of thumb that I've always gone off of, and I just proved right here, is for every $100 of condo fees, it impacts your approval amounts, your mortgage amounts by $10,000. So $300 here impacted $30,000 of purchase price. So when you're getting qualified for your mortgage in this price range, the biggest thing you got to be aware of and make sure you focus on is what are the condo fees going to cost you? Because that could easily make or break a deal of a property that is really valuable and important to you. So you don't want to do that. So make sure you have right numbers, true numbers with the mortgage broker that we connect you with when you're making that purchase. At $100,000 of household income, you would end up having about $8,333 coming in per month. That's your gross. So if we take it again, 39%, all the calculations, you would need to stay under $3,250 for your mortgage, plus your principal, your interest, which is your mortgage, your taxes, $150 for heat, and half of condo fees, which takes you to about $530,000. That's 15% down. So you would have to have about $79,500. Again, a rule of thumb is always have about 1.5 or so of your purchase price set aside for all of your closing costs. Don't dig into your down payment. That's a big no-no. Like, make sure you have that set aside for you to use, because that's going to be super, super important. Now, 4.8% for your interest rate, 25 years. This one is a little bit on the fence. You could end up having condo fees. You might not have condo fees. So let's go take a look on our website and see what we can find for what's available in Calgary. Let's adjust the search. We want to go up to about 550 and probably 450. Let's look between 450 to 550. Maybe there's some detached properties. Let's take a look first. Let's see, what type of detached property could there be? So there's 57 results in the city. Now you can definitely see where they're located around Calgary. So many of them are sitting in the northeast part of Calgary. There's a handful of properties down in the south, and again, a handful in the northwest, with a few in the east side of the city. So a lot of people, when they're looking for this type of property, you're going to have small square footage, but it's a detached property. So there's a trade-off. You might be able to get a garage, separate garage out back, but it could be like an 800 to 1200 square foot property for a detached home. So for example, down south in not even in Auburn Bay, you got New Brighton and Copperfield, it looks like. So 2 properties sitting right at the top end. New Brighton, this one will be too expensive. This one here will be right at the top. However, with this property at 530, if we go back to our mortgage calculator, we're gonna have 0 condo fees. So all of a sudden, we might be able to bump up, actually even 560. Can we go 570? So there again, $10,000 per $100 of condo fees is the impact. Again, it works. So $560,000 is our purchase price. So if we go back to the website, both of these properties will work because you don't have condo fees included. So you're getting about 1,000 square feet. This one's 4 beds, this one's 3 beds. They might have finished basements, they might not. But at the end of the day, they're great properties in terms of the property you get is a detached home. Now, what if you were okay with some condo fees and we wanted to go look at row townhouses? Well, here, let's back out a bit. We're probably gonna have a lot more options. So in fact, yeah, we've got a lot more. There's 113 options for townhomes. And a lot of these townhomes, you're gonna have roughly that $200-300 condo fee. So again, if we add back in that $300 of condo fee, it's gonna take us back down to about a $530 purchase price. So that's what we're gonna have to focus on. A bunch of these are $549. Let's load more listings, $535, $530. So we got some places down south, Sage, up north, really in your outskirts. So down in here, this is a pricey area of the city. So having 2 properties, where are they here? It looks like, let me back up just a little bit. Oh yeah, in Glenmorgan, just on the side here. So this is West Hills. So they're basically townhomes. This one looks like a villa. This one looks like a 2 or 3 story unit. This one's $545. This one's $479. 1,500 square feet with a single, it might be a tandem garage. But at the end of the day, these are going to be great options. If you are okay with shared spaces, instead of it always being a detached property, you're going to have way more options in that price range when it comes to looking for a property. So that's what you can get if your household income is about $100,000. So according to the last census in 2021, there was over 93,000 households in Calgary that made over $150,000. So if we take a look at $150,000 household income per year, that's about $12,500 per month. And at that income, you can purchase up to potentially $850,000 of a property. So again, I want to make this clear that this includes no debt. If you have debt of any kind that you're paying off or you have, then you're going to have a different number. So this is just a general rule of thumb to start, a place to start, right? It's not the absolute. And so on that $850,000 purchase, you would come up with $127,000 for down payment, which is about 15%. You would have CMHC fees because you're under 20%, 4.8% interest rate, 25 years, 0 condo fees on this one. And so your total monthly cost is $49.94, including insurance. But again, that 39% GDS, the gross domestic ratio that mortgage brokers use, you have to have your principal, interest, tax, $150 of heat, and half of your condo fees under $48.75, which equates to an $850,000 purchase. So where are the $850,000 homes in Calgary? What are you going to get? Well, let's take a look at the site. Let's quickly switch this here to $850, probably $750. Let's look in this price range. Pretty much they're all going to be there's 21 townhomes. So let's start there. If you want to find a really nice townhome in a really great property, there are 21 townhomes that you can take a look at. But mostly you're going to be looking at semi-detached and detached properties. And in fact, right now there's 290 options available between $750 and $850. So where are these located? Well, all over. There's lots of options, and there's going to be lots of places for you to consider. Now, it really depends on where you're looking, what you want. What is your family like? Is it just you and someone else? Is there you and a family? Is it just you? All of those things you got to take into consideration. But you can see quite quickly that between the northwest parts of the city and kind of the northern part of the inner city part of Calgary is where majority of these properties are. Down south, you have 30 and 36, kind of on the southeast and south parts of Calgary. Well, let's take a look on the north part of the city first and see where we're concentrated. So there's 40 properties available right in this area. So you have some downtown stuff, but these are going to be older lots. So if you were looking for that older home, 1,000, 1,200 square foot, in their city type property, well, there's gonna be a lot to choose from. Tuxedo Park, Capitol Hill, Hillhurst, there's a few. And if you go down south of downtown, you're gonna see there's some available as well. I mean, over in Oak Ridge, there's some in Acadia. Acadia is a great little area as well. If you're looking for that inner city, larger lot, kind of the 1960s bungalows, right? If you're looking for that. Now, if you're looking for newer properties, that's where you're going to want to look on the outsides of the city. So anywhere up like Saddle Ridge, Skyview Ranch, Coventry, Royal Oak, all of these areas. If you have an area that you love, that you have been looking in, or you currently live in, and you want to shout out your community, put it in the comments. But those are some of the areas. The big thing when buying a detached property in these areas is making sure it's kind of affordable for you. You don't want to buy too big of a house, too small of a house. Ideally, you want to find something that you can live in for a good number of years. The biggest mistake that people make when they buy a property is they think too short term. They only think 2-3 years ahead. What we have found is that many phases of life kind of happen every 5 to 7 years. So think about this property working for you for the next 5 to 7 years, and it's going to do you well. So think of the location inside the community. Is it take you a long time to drive to get out of the community? So for example, some massive communities, like really big ones, are down here. Evergreen is a very large community. Tuscany, we're a little further. Tuscany is a really large community as well. There's only 3 properties available right now in that price range there. And so getting in and out, getting to major intersections so you can have good transportation, maybe, transportation for buses. If you work in one location, you want to take a rapid bus transit versus driving. All of those things really help you figure out where you want to live. And so if this is you and you're trying to figure this out and need a strategy to come up with where you should live in Calgary, because ultimately, if we actually even back out even further, and let's take a look at this, there could be options out in Cochrane and Okotoks and Airdrie. I'm overloading the site here. There we go. Oh, actually, I chose Calgary specifically. So let's get rid of Calgary like that. There you go. So there's 21 options in Cochrane. And there's some great options in Cochrane. There's great options in Airdrie. There's great options in Okotoks, even Chestermere. You can go to Strathmore. So there's a lot of places to consider when you're buying a property up this price range. You have options, which is a great thing. So you're going to get more home for less price in some areas, and you're going to get less home for the same price in some areas too. So it just really depends on your needs. So let us know how we can help with that. But I want to go to the last category, which is $200,000 household income. And then right after that, I want to share with you how much it takes to qualify for a $10 million property. So I've set up the mortgage calculator for a household income of $200,000. About 75,000 households actually bring in $200,000 or more per year, again, based on the 2021 census that happened. So if that's the case, you're bringing home about $16,000 per month, and you'd be able to purchase up to about $1.24 million. Now, if you have no other debts, this is what it'll be. So over $1 million, you do need to put down 20% or more. So 20% down means you have about $250,000 that you can put down on the property. You're going to have a mortgage of around $992,000, 4.8% interest rate, 25 years, no condo fees. And so that turns into, again, about $6,630 per month when you add in insurance as well. So it's a big mortgage. So you need to have good income coming in to be able to have that big of mortgage. And obviously, if you have a bigger down payment, so if you have like $600,000 and you want to take a mortgage of $620,000, I mean, your payments drastically drop. But not everyone has that type of cash, but you do need to have at least 20% to put down, which would be about $248,000. So let's take a look at the site, see what we can find. So when we're making the change, we want to go up to about 1.3, we'll go to 1.1. So between 1.1 and 1.3, in Calgary right now, there are 178 properties and options. So you might have heard me make a comment earlier in the video on the West End, how this is a pretty high-end area, and I was surprised to see some of the condos in there. But as you can see, that's where majority of these properties are. So if we click to zoom in to see these 67 properties on this west side of the city, you're going to find some stuff in Upper Mount Royal. You're going to find up in Springbank Hill, in West Springs, Christie Park, Signal Hill, Strathcona Park, Killarney. There's a lot of great properties that are up to that 1.24, I guess is what you can really afford. So if we go into Killarney, like right here, so these are some 129, 126, 125, here we go, 1.249. So here's a 2,400 square foot infill. We got another one that's a 2,000 infill. But maybe the infill is not what you like. Maybe you're looking for more of kind of a detached property. So if that's the case, you will probably want to be more on the outskirts of the city. So in Auburn Bay, there's a handful of places here. Some of them look like they could be on or close to some water. 1.249, so 2,600, 2,900 square foot property. So there's a lot of beautiful properties here that you can get for this price range. This is one's for 2,900 square feet. Another one, 1.24 million essentially. Another one here for 1.249. That's really nice actually. For 2,900 square feet. So you have a lot of different options in this price range. And when you're buying a property that's over $1 million, there are some mistakes that buyers have made that we have kind of helped them through that they've made in past purchases, or, the ways they thought of buying properties in this price range. We have a video that we created. I'll put the link up here, and it's all about the 7 big mistakes that buyers make when buying luxury properties like these ones, because these homes are much different in purchasing than a smaller property that's in that $700,000 range or less. So you want to approach this a little bit differently. So I want to share that video with you so you have all of that information. But what does it take to be able to afford the biggest properties in Calgary right now? There are 3 homes for sale that are just between 10 million and 9.75 million. So to be able to afford a $10 million property, essentially, what kind of income does that take? Well, I'll pause the video. You pause the video, put in the comments what you think it is, because you might be shocked. Based on my calculations here, you would need to have a household annual income of about $1.7 million. Now, this is going to be a large company owner. This is going to be a professional, some kind of sports player. It's going to be somebody like that who's going to be affording this type of property. Because with 20% down at $2 million, you're going to have a mortgage of $8 million. This type of clientele doesn't want to necessarily tie their cash up in a property like this. They're willing to pay for it. They'd rather have their money working for them elsewhere. So you could end up seeing mortgages of like $8 million. You better have a good relationship with your bank. But you're going to see, a $51,000 monthly cost, but you're bringing in $142,000 a month. So if you found this helpful, you find this stuff interesting, we have got a lot more content for you right up here that you should check out. And make sure you grab the links in the description too, because that's where you can find properties based on your household income.